next let's move on to the
Steel Curtain.
Pittsburgh Steelers here as we cover the AFC North. Joe, Steelers.
Yeah, let's talk about Arthur Smith for a second, guys.
Oh, boy. Why?
Because this could be the downfall of the Steelers. I mean, does anybody pay attention to the Atlanta Falcons offense last year? It was led by Arthur Smith. He was the play caller and head coach. Now, I don't know if maybe it alleviates pressure from Smith. He's like, okay, well, I'm not the head coach anymore. Now I just have to focus on offense, if that's going to improve at all. But it's got to be concerning a little bit anyways. Like, Arthur Smith wasn't the greatest play caller in Atlanta, and I don't know what's going to change in Pittsburgh. The only thing is you can say, oh, well, it is a better roster. Sure, you could say that because it's one of the more improved rosters this offseason. Their whole offensive line looks almost different. Like, Isaac Sumalo comes over from the Philadelphia Eagles at left guard. Broderick Jones, who was drafted last year, is now starting at left tackle. Mm-hmm. Guess what? Another rookie drafted, Zach Frazier, one of the better centers coming out in this draft. He's going to start at center for them. James Daniels, who was signed a couple years ago as one of the best guards in football, he still remains there. And then they drafted also Troy Fontenot, who coming out of Washington in this draft was seen as by a lot of people as one of the top 5 offensive tackles coming out, and very athletic, still has strength, still has great technique. He's going to start at right tackle. So they basically overhauled this offensive line. And now I know we're kind of going off potential with these rookies too, but Broderick Jones has already shown us something. Zach Frazier, usually centers, they acclimate pretty well in the NFL. Trey Fontenot, to me, is like the only one that might be a slight, concern because of his size, and hopefully he gets a little bit bigger as training camp goes on to prepare for week 1. So, but again, all these guys are seen as studs. They didn't reach for anybody. They took guys that just kind of fell to them, and they took the best available. So I'm kind of excited for the Steelers fans out there and for their offensive line. Looks like, on paper anyways, that it could be a legit offensive line heading into week 1. And then you look at their receiving core, and people were saying last year, like, well, they got George Pickens, and then, and then they have Deontay, but Deontay, he's gone. He went to another team, and George Pickens like, yo, what are we going to do about this receiving core? Like, I can catch all the balls. Yeah. If that's what you guys want me to do, I'll do it, but I need a little bit of help. So they bring over, which was interesting, is from Atlanta, they bring over Van Jefferson, who has been a journeyman of a receiver. We'll see what he can do with this team, but so far he hasn't shown any real flashes since probably his first few years in football. So again, we'll have to wait and see with him. And then you got the kid, Roman Wilson from Michigan, coming to Pittsburgh, he looks scary on the field. Like, he is so quick and fast. He's going to be a problem for a lot of teams to defend. So I'm very curious on him to see what he can do this year. And then going beyond them a little bit for depth, Scotty Miller. Does anybody remember Scotty Miller? Scotty Miller, formerly with the Tampa Bay Buccaneers and with the Atlanta Falcons last year. Little short Scotty, more like a quicker receiver than fast, but a guy that kind of gets the job done. I'm curious to see how involved he might get. Who knows? Maybe he beats out Van Jefferson. You never know. And then Quez Watkins also coming over from the Eagles as well. You look at the quarterback battle, Jim. The quarterback battle. Russell Wilson. I don't know if you saw this, but Russell Wilson and Justin Fields both had like photo shoots, it looks like, for how strong they were or whatever, or how chiseled they are. Oh, yeah. Fields looks like he belongs in the Olympics. And Russell Wilson has been like boxing, I guess, and working out a lot. And he's got that. He no longer has the dad bod anymore.
Oh, okay.
He's all chiseled. He's got the abs showing and all that. And I don't know, like, I don't read too much into that. But at the same time, all indications out of Pittsburgh is that they're saying Russell Wilson still has the lead. And going into training camp, we do expect it to be a battle, but honestly, I think Russell Wilson was given the nod. I think they're calling it a battle, but it's really going to be Wilson's team going forward. And Fields, we even heard rumors about him even doing some kick returning for Pittsburgh, which would be interesting because we all know he's very fast. And then you look at the running backs, Najee Harris, Jaylen Warren, 2 studs for the Steelers that Either one can get the job done. Either one can start. And then they brought in also Cordarrelle Patterson, which I thought was an interesting signing. You laugh, but man,
I know, but it's
this guy, he is a very physical guy. Like he can definitely run through people. We've seen it in Atlanta. We've seen him line up at wide receiver. So I'm curious to see how creative they might get with a guy like Cordarrelle Patterson too.
Right. Well, but this is what you start to see. You see a guy come from this former team and bring in dudes that like know his offense that he wants to do, things like that. You got your Van Jefferson, you got your Scotty Miller, you got Cordarrelle Patterson, same kind of thing. So they know what he's expected of an Arthur Smith type of offense, and they can preach it, and they're going to do like they're his guys. So I think it's a perfect example to bring into this team. And like you said, you talk about the wide receivers. I like their depth. They've got some nice guys here around here that I could see these guys sharing time and making plays on their own, and even further down. Marquez Callaway, I think it would be cool if he could make some kind of plays here, because we saw flashes of it, but just not enough consistency. So, I mean, I really like some of these other guys on here. So, I mean, I think this for some thing with the Steelers, I think they just have a knack with wide receivers, and I think you're going to see still some of this, even though they do have Arthur Smith as their offensive coordinator here.
The thing that's interesting is they didn't draft one.
No, right.
So, well, they got Roman Wilson.
They got Roman Wilson
in the third round, but I was expecting them to go more than one, because they
usually hit. So maybe they're like, we just got to do one.
But my thing is when you were vastly depleted, I fully expect them to at least come away with two. And when you have Van Jefferson, who really hasn't shown much, who knows? He might not even be the starter after training camp is all done. Will Scotty Miller, will he be able to be up to par? Like, that's the thing, is like they don't have anybody else other than what looks like Roman Wilson and Pickens to be like the go-tos. I just was hoping that they would get maybe another young up-and-coming type of wide receiver to maybe kind of at least push for that starting job, if not get it. Yeah,
but it looks like even their focus was like offensive line. That's just like what we have to do. And that's what they did. Right? Well, that's it. And that's what I'm saying. That's what they targeted solely, pretty much. And then they're like, well, they're like, we got this nice wide receiver too, and then even in the fourth round, let's get McCormick here, as a backup and learn and get to this role possibly here.
Fourth round.
Yeah. So I mean, this was their focus, and we've seen them do this before. When we even thought back when they drafted Najee Harris, they should go offensive line, try and help that offensive line, but they felt then that like, oh, we need a running back though too, so they went and grabbed Najee Harris when he was there.
And then also Broderick Jones a year ago was a first round pick. So they were already setting up to kind of revamp and rebuild this offensive line. And now it looks like it's finally starting to come into a completion of a project.
All right. Handle the defense now.
Defensively. Don't tell me what to do.
Just do
defensively. Here's my only thing about the defense too, is like everybody's kind of talking about how Joey Porter Jr. is going to light up the show this year and he's going to be a shutdown corner and everything. Are you sure about that? Because even Joey Porter's saying like he's the best corner right now in the NFL, which I think is absurd to think. Listen, you're number one in terms of holding calls. Like you're number one in pass interference, penalties, sure. But as far as being a shutdown corner without getting penalties, no, you're not even close. I like the confidence, but at the same time, the results just aren't there, Joey. So I'm a little concerned still with that secondary. Like Minkah Fitzpatrick, he's since coming over to Pittsburgh's been a huge addition. But he's also had his fair share of injuries here and there. He's getting a little bit older now. So at what point is it time to like maybe look for a replacement? Now, I still think he still can get it done. That's not what I'm saying, but there's got to be a point in time where the Steelers, maybe it's this next offseason, they're going to be looking to kind of revamp and strengthen the back end here. They bring over to Dante Jackson, which was an interesting signing, a guy that was out in free agency for longer than I thought he was going to be. I thought some teams were going to sign him well earlier into the free agency. Coming over from Carolina, a guy who's another physical type of corner. He fits Pittsburgh and what they like to do. They like their physical corners that it can bump and run coverage type of deal. But man, he's another guy who also faces injuries from time to time. He hasn't been the most healthy. He is a little handsy sometimes, will get some penalties called on him. So I feel like with their secondary, I feel like it's concerning. Minka, I'm not concerned about at all. But everybody else, it seems like I understand you're going for physicality. I understand that you want to get and knock receivers off their spots. You want them to be held up a little bit, create a little disturbance in the timing. But got to be careful with that because you might be the most penalized secondary in the NFL in this upcoming season. And that's not going to be a good thing. You know what is a good thing, though, is when you have guys like TJ Watt who can pass rush. You got guys like Alex Highsmith who can pass rush off the edge. Patrick Queen is another big addition over from Baltimore. Their rival. They managed to steal him away, give him a load of money, and bring him over as one of the inside linebackers. So that to me is going to be interesting to see that dynamic of just adding Patrick Queen and utilizing his coverage ability and his ability to attack the run. That's going to be fun to watch. And then you look at their D-line, which has been getting a little bit older in the teeth here. Yep. Cameron Hayward is approaching, his latter years in the NFL, and quite honestly has asked for an extension, but Pittsburgh hasn't really responded yet in terms of giving him an extension. He very well may be a free agent. I know Steelers fans, it's shocking. They don't want that to happen, but he very well may be a free agent. I think the Steelers are preparing for his departure and to fill in his shoes. But a guy by the name of Keanu Benton is going to be a difference maker this year. He's finally getting a chance to start this season. A guy who's been a nose tackle for Wisconsin, has been waiting for his moment, is now going to get it. And I think he's going to have an awesome year for the Steelers. And then Larry Ogunjobi. Oh, Larry, journeyman, going around team to team, finding, he's usually only there for a year, then he goes somewhere else. So I think that the defense is going to be just fine, but there are some concerns. I feel like that not really sure how they're going to work out, whether it be the corners, whether it be Larry Ogunjobi. Like, he's shown flashes with Miami. He's been with Cincinnati. He's done his thing with Cincinnati. Is he going to be able to play in this 3-4 defense and do it well? So that to me is a little uneasy. But overall, I think they're going to be a solid team. But man, I really do think that this division right now, like after talking about all these teams, it's going to be something to watch. It's definitely going to be one heavyweight division of football teams here.
Hey everybody, this is Big John from Grumblings Media, and I just want to say thank you for watching our content. If you want to support our efforts here at Grumblings Media, just smash the subscribe button right here, totally free, or just go ahead and consume more of our great content. Click either one of these two boxes.